Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we talk about all things Disney, but we're Epcot-centered.
Including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in our rankings and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when farts at Epcot just meant that you'd eaten at the Mexico Pavilion.
This is episode 92, Best of the Fest, Epcot Festival of the Arts 2025.
Or Festival of the Arts. Farts, get it? Anyway, welcome to Season 3.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on Season 3 of the Epcotian Adventure.
We call it Epcot.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to Season 3 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we are just back from the farts. Ha! Guess that's still funny, because it's a fart joke. Yeah. Now, Epcot Festival of the Arts, lovingly referred to as farts by most everybody that talks about it. And yeah, we're a week late. We know it's now February, and that's because we came back not only with great souvenirs, great things to talk about, but also an airplane cold.
Yeah.
So, thank you to the guy coughing behind us on the Delta flight.
The whole time.
Yeah.
So rude.
Anyway.
And now the coughing person is me. So I'm not going to be on an airplane anytime soon, though.
So bear with us. We both sound a little bit snorky today.
Kind of felt sorry for them. They couldn't go like the other elephants when they go. All they could do is just blow and go.
That's just because we're getting over the airplane cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's favorite thing to come back with. That.
But I was so proud of us because we actually did the festival on the first weekend so that we could bring you all this great information when it's still relevant. And I was so proud of us for doing it. And then we came back sick. So
yeah, well, that's okay. But we still have a couple weeks till the festival's over. The next one doesn't start until March. So
that is true.
We'll
and this one runs until February 24th.
Yeah, so a couple more weeks.
Couple more weeks. If you happen to be going, we have some recommendations for you.
Yeah, the merchandise this year is fantastic. Came back with a couple shirts I really wanted to get, including a festival one, which they don't always have the best festival merch for this, except for the paintings, of course.
Yes.
The art itself is fantastic. The Loungefly this year is also amazing.
It is so cute. I actually had a very hard time deciding if I wanted the festival Loungefly or if I wanted there's a whole new Epcot logo line. And it was a very hard decision between the two, between the festival one and the new Epcot one. I did go with the Epcot spoilers.
Well, it's
but
Figment. How can you not?
They were both Figment. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah. So what is Festival of the Arts? If you're not familiar, it is the first festival of the year at Epcot, and it is celebrating everything from culinary arts to visual arts to performing arts. The series that they have at the American Pavilion is Broadway. So instead of live concerts, they actually have people from Disney on Broadway, or Broadway shows, literal Broadway shows for Disney, including the touring ones, with people doing songs and, well, it's just songs, really.
It is concerts, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's concerts still. Okay, I didn't really think about it that way.
But with Broadway performers.
But they talk about the shows themselves as well. Plus, they also have visual arts. So over at the new festival area, the Communicore Hall, this year they have things from Broadway. They have set pieces and costume pieces.
They finally used that space correctly.
Yeah, it actually finally looks good. Thank you. Took a while.
It did. It absolutely did. And I feel like they're on the right track now. If you happen to make it to D23 this year, they had an exhibit that was very, very similar. They've just kind of taken that and run with it and made it more expansive because there's a lot of room in there. And it's really, really cool to see some of the original costumes and props and stuff. So very, very cool.
They also have some day entertainment out in the kind of the newer area behind Spaceship Earth that includes something more akin almost to a pole dancer meets Cirque du Soleil. I don't even know how to describe the show.
We've talked about them before.
We have. It's just a very odd show.
I think it's really cool. I think it's amazing what these women can do, and I think their costumes are really fun. I think it's neat.
It's very old school Epcot.
Yes.
I remember going in the 80s and 90s, especially the 80s, when they would have like the giant dragon that came up out of the fountain with the dancing globe Mickey ball costumes, and it really, really vintage feel to the show, vintage Epcot feel to the show, which I kind of adore. So I'm glad to see that Disney's bringing back some things. A good example of that is the recreation or Epcot's new version of Test Track, so Test Track 3.0. They're saying is going to go back and nod to World of Motion. And now, if they could just do that with imagination. I know we've said that to death, but please, somebody, for the love of Mickey.
I feel like they think they have by bringing back Figment.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough. They didn't bring back Dreamfinder.
I know. They only did it halfway, but...
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about my favorite part, the food. Pretty much if you're going to a festival, you're thinking food and drink. So let's talk about food and drink around World Showcase. It has the least amount of pavilions, I believe, or pavilion additions, if you want to call them that, kiosks. Yes. It's much smaller in scale, food and drink-wise, than, say, Food and Wine Festival. But it's supposed to be the culinary arts. So there's a lot of just visually stunning, Instagrammable, as I believe you would say, Sue.
Yeah.
Just amazing dishes that you're going to find around World Showcase. So we're going to talk about the best of the fest when it comes to the food and drinks.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be able to tell you what we got. We were able to get quite a few things this time. So yeah, we did a very unique trip for us. We actually spent 4 days at the parks, which is twice as long as we usually do, which sounds odd, I'm sure. But that's how we tend to do things. It's just shorter trips. So we actually extended it. We were able to do some tours that you're going to hear about in upcoming episodes. Some behind the scenes stuff that we were able to do. Some really just cool experiences that we want to share with you. So this was a unique experience. That said, we actually gave ourselves 2 days at Epcot to complete some of the booths. So, with that said, let's just jump on in. We did not try everything. We never intended to try everything. There's a bunch of stuff this year that just didn't appeal to us. So
yeah, sorry, we're not gazelle or eat like animals. So
yeah, we are not Puma.
We did end up eating quite a few things, though, and sampling things over the 2 days. So, Sue, why don't you jump in and start?
I am just going to go through our little passport. We're going to go booth by booth with just what we tried, and we're going to give you our rankings. So, best of the fest, here we go. All right, so we started off at Craftsman's Courtyard. This is on the walkway between World Showcase and Imagination Pavilion. So if you can kind of picture where that is, over by Figment. Sort of on that lawnish area. Is that a word? Lawnish?
Lawnish?
Lawnish, yeah.
Very lawn-like.
So from this booth, we got the Beef Wellington-inspired Croissant Supreme, which is described as having cream spinach, croissant pinwheel, mushroom gorgonzola ragu, mustard grilled flank steak, red wine sauce, and pickled mustard seeds.
Mustard, yes, but mustard? Don't let's be silly.
I love this one. This was right up there.
You gave it a 3.
I gave this one a 3. I wanted to love this one better. I thought I loved this one.
We enjoyed this one. This was one that fell a little bit flat in its preparation. The pinwheel was a little weird. Texturally, it didn't taste very croissant-like to us.
Oh, I remember now. That's right. I remember loving the beef.
Yes, the beef was really well done.
That's right, but the croissant, the wrapping was just odd. Now, a good beef Wellington should be a croissant, literally a stiff croissant with beef inside. It did just kind of fall flat.
It did, and I really don't know why, because when you look at all the ingredients, it should have been like a perfect dish. Right up our alley. Rod ended up giving it a 3. I ended up giving it a 4. I gave it a little bonus just for creativity because it just sounded so good.
Yeah, 3 not a golf balls. That's all it got, unfortunately. I think if we had gone back and tried it again, it could have just been the preparation on the one we were eating, because we've heard a lot of other people really like this one.
That is true. That is very true. That's a very good point. We also got a cocktail from this booth, and that was the Coffee Old Fashioned, made with Joffrey's Coffee Cold Brew, simple syrup, orange bitters, and Jim Beam Kentucky straight bourbon.
I gave this one 4 not a golf balls simply because I love a good old fashioned, but because of that, I've kind of become an old fashioned snob, I think. The addition of the cold brew in this gave it a very, very unique flavor, which I thought was really good at first, but then it fell off for me. The more I drank it, the more I just felt it was very one note. It was just very coffee forward as opposed to alcohol forward. So if you're more into the cold brews, you'll love this one. If you're more into the old fashions, you'll probably feel the same way. It's good the first few sips, and then it just kind of, it's okay. But I did enjoy it. It got 4.
Yeah, and we did finish this one. We split it, but we did finish this one. It was very good. I am someone who's just learning to enjoy bourbon and whiskey cocktails. This, as an old-fashioned, was very good to me, but oddly enough, the bitterness, that like burning sensation that you get seemed to be coming from the coffee rather than from the bourbon, which was very odd to me. It felt like it was like built backwards somehow. I'm not sure how that happened, but I only gave it a 3, even though we did finish it and we both enjoyed it.
Then we jumped over to Pop Eats, which is over near the port of entry. They had only a couple things on the menu here, but both of them were basically the same thing. So you either got a tomato soup with a grilled cheese, or you got a tomato soup with a pimento grilled cheese. Well, we had to go with the pimento grilled cheese. It's the zhuzhed up one, as the kids would say nowadays. And I'm not remembering liking pimento cheese as a kid. Evidently, I love it as an adult, because we got the tomato soup with the pimento cheese, bacon, and fried green tomato grilled cheese. Wow. Okay, this was actually right at the top, in the top 2 or 3 things we ate the entire weekend. It's exactly like it sounds. It's a pimento grilled cheese with a fried green tomato and some bacon. You can't go wrong with bacon, of course, and you can't go wrong with fried green tomatoes. So, therefore, you have what amounts to be the perfect dippable sandwich. The tomato soup is served in a little tomato soup can, which I just think presentation-wise is beautiful. I love it. I thought it was whimsical. It was just really fun.
Which is very reminiscent of the Pop Eats, because Pop Art, and you think Andy Warhol, and he did the tomato can painting.
Exactly. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point. Okay. Well, I gave this one a 5 not a golf balls because, hey, it was fantastic. I don't know how else to say it. It's tomato soup and a grilled cheese, but it was perfect.
This one gets a lot of hype, I think, because of the presentation, but also because now that we have had a chance to try it, it is very delicious. I also gave it 5 not a golf balls. One of my favorites of the whole fest. One of my favorites of the whole weekend. It was so good. We should also mention that it was literally freezing when we were there.
Yeah, it was snowing in northern Florida. So.
Yeah, it was in the 40s, feels like 30s. Like, it was cold. So what's better than grilled cheese and hot tomato soup on a cold, rainy day?
Yeah, it was great.
Next up, we purposely skipped Swirled Showcase.
Well, it's Dole Whip. I mean...
And bubblegum soft serve.
Yeah,
As cute as the little figment cone is with the wings and the purple and the whole... Like, it's adorable. Don't fall for it. It's bubblegum soft serve.
If you're
Unless
an
you
adult.
have a 2-year-old, skip it.
We can say the same thing this year, too, about the...
Funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes. I know they try to be whimsical, and this is not a kids' festival in general, but the funnel cake was also just way too sweet, so we won't even mention it past here. Oh, there you go. We're done with funnel cakes.
Ew. Next up, we hit the refreshment port, which is near Canada. That's the one right as you are entering into World Showcase if you're turning right, which is the wrong direction. So,
but we're reading from our little guide, so
right.
Not necessarily in the order we ate them in.
Good point. That is a very good point.
We know to go left. Okay, go ahead.
This is the booth that always features the poutine, and then they do like a seasonal festival forward poutine. So this is what we got was the caprese poutine, which is Tuscan spiced fries, confit tomatoes, slivered garlic, mozzarella pearls, basil pesto, shaved pecorino, and balsamic glaze.
You have to understand, Sue and I have a weird relationship with poutine. When we went to Canada one time, we stopped at just a little restaurant off the side of the highway, went in, ordered something with fries, and they asked if we wanted gravy with that, at which point we both looked at the waitress like she was from Regina, because that's where we were, and we had no idea what she was talking about. And yeah, I didn't really ever fall in love with poutine until now.
But it features no gravy. So
no gravy, but it had the balsamic and the pesto is a replacement. And with the the mozzarella and the tomato, and oh my gosh. This was my favorite thing at the entire festival. So I just said the pimento cheese was one of my favorite things. This was my favorite thing. This was 5 out of 5. For me, I would give it a 5+. It seems simple, but the flavors together were just a symphony in your mouth with the elements of the caprese, good Disney fries, and the balsamic.
And whatever the Tuscan spices that they shake the fries in, they like put it in a bowl with the fries and shake it all around. Whatever that Tuscan spice is delicious. Just the fries by themselves were really, really perfect.
What did you give it?
I also gave it 5 Not Golf Balls.
I thought you did, but I'm just making sure.
And you say this is your very favorite, but I think you might be forgetting about one. We'll get there.
Oh, let's find out. Yeah, Nick, because all of a sudden now it's been 2 weeks since we ate these things. So
right.
I'm going by vague memories in our notes.
But this was absolutely one of the best of the fest, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think we've ever said that about one of the poutines before.
No, I don't know that we've tried more than 1 or 2 of the other poutines.
Yeah,
This
we only
one,
get
no.
a couple.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. Next, we're going to move over to the artist table, which is at the American Adventure. And they did have some new things. We've been hearing really great things about the chicken pot pie and the hummingbird cake. We did not try either one of those, but we did get the deviled egg trio. So this one is 3 deviled eggs, as you might guess from the word trio in there. And we're going to rate these overall and separately. So the pimento cheese, the green goddess, and the BLT. I'm going to start at the bottom of my list. The BLT, I could not even finish. It was way too sweet, like weirdly sweet for being a BLT flavor. I think it was just the tomato in it is naturally sweet. I gave that one a 1. Not good for me. Green Goddess, I expected to be my favorite one, and I ended up giving that one a 3. It was just a little lackluster for me. I wanted more of that really great herby flavor that Green Goddess promises, and it just didn't deliver the way I wanted it to. And then my favorite was the pimento cheese. And there's like a theme going, I'm suddenly realizing, because, again, unexpectedly, that was my favorite. It had a nice little zing to it. It wasn't spicy, but it had just a tiny little kick, and it was just delightful. Overall, I gave it a 3 for the trio. And we should also mention that these are not traditional deviled eggs.
No, oddly enough.
They cheated.
They basically took a hard-boiled egg and cut it in half.
And then piped whatever the thing was on top of the hard yolk. It's not like emptied out and then filled. They cheated. They took a shortcut. So you do get that hard-boiled yolk in there, which is just a little weird texturally. And then, Rod, give us your scores.
So I generally liked these. I think the idea that they were not a true deviled egg, they were a hard-boiled egg with the, like Sue said, the condiments on the top, kind of took off a couple points for me on all the way across the board.
Yeah, don't lie to us, Disney.
No, I mean, I gave the whole thing a 3, but that said, I gave the pimento a 3 because I enjoyed the flavor. But again, it was a hard-boiled egg with pimento just on the top. Had it been a traditional deviled egg, I think that I would have given it a higher score, because the flavor was fantastic. I actually enjoyed the BLT one. I thought the little bit of the sweetness from the tomato and the addition of bacon, which again, the best thing that goes with bacon is more bacon.
True.
So that one I really enjoyed too because of the flavor. But again, it wasn't it was a hard-boiled egg. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't get past that. And then the Green Goddess was okay. I gave it a 2.5. So, I mean, overall, I give the whole thing about a 3 Not Golf Balls, but it's not one that I would go out of my way to get, unfortunately, I think.
That's fair.
I think that's a fair way to put it.
And in the end, we both gave it a 3, so we kind of agreed.
So, if you're walking by, you want some egg, get it. Don't go out of your way. I think
it's
that's
worth
the best way to put it.
trying. But yeah, if you happen to be on your way past. Next, we're going to go over to Germany for the Pastoral Palette. We have heard since we got back and have been watching some other videos that the one to get here is the pork and white bean cassoulet. We did not try that. It didn't look appealing to me.
It looked heavy.
It looked very heavy, which on a cold day is probably fine.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're still not even halfway around Epcot at that point. So, but we did go with another heavier dish. But we got the red wine braised beef short rib, which comes with parsnip puree, broccolini, baby tomatoes, and balsamic glaze. We love a balsamic glaze.
Yeah, I gave this one a 4.5, simply because it felt very heavy. I loved the flavor of this. Again, anything with a balsamic glaze is going to be. I could put that on a shoe and enjoy it. The parsnip puree was really good. It's a good replacement for a mashed potato.
It was actually hard to tell it wasn't a mashed potato.
Very good point. The veggies that were with it were cooked perfectly. Everything in this dish was perfect. Flavor, looks, portion, I thought it was great. The only reason I knocked it down about a half a golf ball, I'm not sure if it's the top half or the bottom half of Spaceship Earth. I'm going to go with probably the top half. So everything from Thank the Phoenicians up, it loves at that point, simply because it was so big, rich, and heavy. And for me, if you're eating around the world, that's a negative because you need room for everything. You
got to try more stuff, yeah. If you were coming here and buying this for your lunch, it would be a great deal.
Oh,
and yeah. You could definitely do that. I ended up giving it a 4, and for much the same reason as you. It was very good. I really, really liked the components of this one. The broccolini was cooked so well. The little baby tomatoes were perfect with that balsamic glaze. I liked all of the individual components, and somehow when I put them together, it wanted maybe just a little sprinkle of salt or something, but it just lacked a punch. And I remember this one being punchier.
Yeah.
So 4 not a golf balls from me, 4.5 from Rod.
Yep.
Good solid dish. All right, we are skipping over to what traditionally is our favorite booth, and this is El Artista Hambriento, which I believe is the hungry artist. And
that
this
sounds
is
right.
Mexico. And traditionally, this is our favorite. Once again, I believe this is our favorite. Tell us about it.
I'm a sucker for carne asada. I grew up on good Mexican food. Or I should say, we grew up on good Mexican food coming from the Central California coast. And a shout out to Tony and the burrito wagon out there.
Oh, man, that was good stuff.
The best. But carne asada is something I'm not going to pass. And we didn't. We went and got the ancho marinated beef sirloin with pasilla chile sauce. I'm probably butchering this. Grilled queso fresco, nopales salad, and chicharron dust. Basically just crushed up pork rinds.
And we did look it up to see exactly what we were eating because I wasn't familiar with nopales. And
salad.
We did find out that it's cactus. So once we knew what it was, it did taste a little familiar, but I just wasn't familiar with that word. So that is what that is. It's a little cactus salad on the side.
Okay, go out of your way for this one.
Yep.
So I know I just said my favorite thing on the entire planet was the last 2 things we talked about with the tomato soup and with the poutine, but okay, this was my favorite. This one was my favorite. And Mexico never ceases to amaze me in how good this one is versus like how bad Italy is.
Every time.
We just skip at this point because
we're not even going to pretend.
Not even going to pretend anymore. But again, Mexico hits it out of the park. The carne asada was perfectly cooked, perfectly spiced. The addition of the chicharron dust I thought was not needed. It was visual. I think it was there more for the visual. Because you couldn't really taste it.
You couldn't taste it, but it did add an interesting texture.
True. So a lot of what you're going to find at these booths is something that looks pretty. Again, this is a festival of the arts. So the culinary arts are really showcased here. And sometimes that means it looks pretty and tastes bland or tastes like bleh. In this case, it's both. They look fantastic and it tastes fantastic. To go along with this, we got the Strawberry Fields Margarita, which is Blanco Tequila, Dos Hombres Mezcal, strawberry puree, and a black currant liqueur. It sounds very alcohol forward, and it didn't feel that way. It felt like just a perfect, really perfect margarita.
Agreed.
Now, that said, we also went into La Cava.
We'll get there at the end. We'll do that, because it's not technically on the festival list.
So if you have your choice between this or going to La Cava, do both. Because this strawberry margarita with this puree in it was fantastic. If you get a chance, that little smokiness of the mezcal and the really good Blanco tequila. I love a good white tequila when it's a good tequila, and this was good. So anyway, if you get a chance, I would recommend the carne asada with the Strawberry Fields margarita. Perfect pairing. And then go into La Cava and get something.
And what did you rate it?
I give it a 5 out of 5. This, again, was in my top 3. So the top 3 for me so far, the poutine, the carne asada, and the pimento cheese, grilled cheese. So that's where we're standing so far. What did you give it to?
I also gave it a perfect 5 out of 5. I actually gave it a 5+, and I put a little star next to it. This was the hit of the festival for me, personally. It was so good.
Do we have to give this one an Ordinary Adventure star then?
Yes.
Okay.
Ordinary Adventure star. Ding! Shout out to Peter and Kitra.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter and Kitra.
We absolutely love this one. I had read the description ahead of time. I wondered how they were going to grill queso fresco, because queso fresco that I know is usually white and powdery like a cotija. And this was like a tiny little slice of this delightful cheese that was literally grilled. It was so good. So anyway, everything about this one, 5 out of 5. Absolutely go get this one.
Yep.
In fact, if you're not planning on going to Disney World, change your mind and go get this.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
We're going to skip on over to Confections Eatery, which is in World Celebration, right next to the Starbucks. They're like connected. And we got the Figment Liege Waffle with ube filling. Now, this one is one of the ones that they do for festivals, and they are packaged, so they're not warm and fluffy and delightful like they do make them there. That they do like whipped cream and fresh strawberries, and they're delightful, and this is not that. This is a pre-packaged one. This one happens to be Figment, so it has purple ube icing, and there is an ube filling in the middle. I had to get it because I love ube. I'm just a sucker for ube and
for
Figment.
Those of us that aren't as familiar, what's the flavor profile with ube?
Ube it's a purple root vegetable, like kind of like a sweet potato, but it doesn't taste like a sweet potato. It tastes sweeter than that, but still in a very earthy way. You're going to get sort of a matcha sensation from it because it does have that like earthy, I'm not going to say dirt, but it kind of tastes like dirt, but in a great way.
Yeah, I don't like matcha, but I like ube. It's got a very unique flavor, and if you're not familiar with it, it's worth a try.
So I ended up giving this one a 2 out of 5 Not a Golf Balls just because of that ube. There was really nothing that redeeming about the waffle itself. The little Figment disc was cute.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 simply because I like waffles.
Nothing wrong with that.
Now, it comes off looking like a Belgian waffle almost, and it just is more of just like almost candy, I guess is the best way to put it. It's not something that's fresh, and it does have a good flavor, but just know that it's prepackaged.
I think I'm remembering now the only reason that you bumped it up a point is because you were unexpectedly enjoying it.
Yes.
And you didn't
more than
think
I thought I would.
So it got a bonus point for that. So well done for the ube there. Though that is what we tried this year. We are going to talk about just a couple of things. Over at Deconstructed Dish and World Discovery, we have, in the past, we have tried the key lime pie, which is flexible key lime curd, key lime mousse, graham cracker cake, and meringues. It's one of the ones that they always showcase because it looks so inventive and pretty. And it's, in our experience, it's fine.
Yeah, and key lime pie is one of my favorites, even if it's deconstructed. You know, I don't mind an IKEA project once in a while. So, and it is, if I was going to give it 3 out of 5, I think I would be giving it a good score because the flavor palette is there, but the crunchy meringue is an off-put for me that they did with this. And so use your own judgment on this one.
I enjoy the crunchy meringues. I just don't think that they have a place in key lime pie. So since they're not really providing a flavor necessarily, and it's providing the wrong texture, I think that's where it goes off the rails a little bit. And the flexible key lime curd looks super cool. It looks like this little S curve going through there, which is really fun. But again, texturally, because they're trying to make it stiff enough to hold that shape, it kind of loses something in the translation.
Like eating a gel almost.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't want to say it's off-putting because I did enjoy it, but it's just not one of my favorites.
Agreed. And in the past, we also are going to give a shout out to the France booth, L'Art de la Cuisine Française. And we tried the crème de brie en petit pain, which is warm creamy brie in a house-made bread bowl. And if you know anything about us, we will always give cheese in bread a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Don't miss this one. The weirdest thing, I think, for the whole festival was also at this booth, and it was the escargot en chocolat or something. That
was good.
Thank you. It's not chocolate snails. It is a chocolate dish that in the shape of a snail.
Yes.
So don't let that dissuade you from trying it. We did not try that this year because by the time we got to France, we were full.
We should say we started at the Skyliner, so we worked our way around that way. So France was the very last thing, and we did Shikisai that night. So
which we'll have an upcoming episode on.
Yes.
And spoilers, it's fantastic.
I'm also just going to really quickly mention the almond frangipane cake, which you can get at Deco Delights, which is also near Port of Entry. And again, that's just because you see it over and over in all of the ads. This is the one that is layered and blocked like a Mondrian painting. So if you are familiar with that one, it is almond flavored. It has raspberry jam and Belgian chocolate. Again, it's fine, but because they have to make it hold that shape on the internal part, it gets very, very dry. I can't give this one more than a 3 out of 5, and really all of that 3 is because I do like almond. And
it's pretty.
It's pretty. It's very, very good for the gram, but we did not.
It looks like if you took the Partridge Family bus and turned it into a cake. Okay, kids, ask your parents about that. They're laughing hysterically right now.
Ask your grandparents about that.
Is it that old? It is
that
old.
I never even watched the Partridge Family.
Yeah. Okay, well. Anyway, our older siblings are laughing right now. All right.
We are hearing that the dessert of the festival is either the hummingbird cake from America or the enchanted rose from Opening Bites, which is a new pavilion this year from Communicore Plaza. And this one is a milk chocolate rose with raspberry and rose center. It is beautiful. We are more savory folks than sweet folks, so we really limit our dessert items, and this one did not make the cut. But we are hearing that it is worth a stop if that is your thing. So that is kind of the festival, but
we did go to La Cava de Tequila over in the Mexico Pavilion. We've been wanting to go in and get a seat in there for a long time. And we were able to not only try the guacamole and the chips, but we were also able to try the super secret, you have to know the password, margarita.
It was so good. Spoilers. It was so good. So it is called the Art Garita, and it is designed by an artist who is presenting art in the Mexico Pavilion. He got to do one last year that was very, very pretty. It was all blues and greens and these really, really cool color, like literally cool colors, like not warm colors, and very, very pretty. This year's is a brand new one. You do have to know the password. We're going to tell you, but don't tell anyone, okay? You have to say, Dom sent me. You got it?
Dom sent me.
Don't tell anyone.
It sounds like it should be out of the Fast and the Furious. But no.
I'm sure he's part of the family.
Well, that's true.
Now, this is an exclusive cocktail just for this festival. It is coconut, pineapple, ginger, margarita with high-proof tequila and a hint of Aperol. And it's topped with coconut whipped cream and little sparkles, edible sparkles.
A coconut whipped cream gives you a coconut whipped cream margarita mustache. So
I'm not really sure what's
be aware.
Purpose the whipped cream served, except just to make it fun and festive.
I think if you mix it up into the margarita before you drink it, that might have been the way we should have done it, because otherwise it kind of gets all over the place. The Aperol gives it a very, very unique bitter addition, which I really enjoy.
I did too. Unexpected. I mean, I do like Aperol, so I shouldn't say unexpectedly. I just didn't know how it would fit into the scheme of those tropical flavors. But yeah, it was a hit for sure. This one I absolutely gave 5+ out of 5.
Yeah.
And thank you so much to Andrea, who absolutely made me stop at La Cava and get this margarita. And I can't wait to see your version of it on your YouTube channel. Put a link in the comments for me. So definitely get that. It is $20, which is very steep for a margarita, but not really for La Cava. So
well, and it's unique. So you're paying, I think, for the name and the uniqueness of it more than the actual, oh my gosh, this is a great margarita. But it is. It is a great margarita.
And by the way, their guacamole is amazing.
Yes, it is.
But we definitely recommend getting a table if you are able. We were able to get a table as a walk-up. You cannot make a reservation here. It's walk-up only. They did ask us if we wanted to take it to go or have a table. We chose to sit. And
you can stand at the bar too.
Yes.
That is one other thing that I had forgotten about. But there is actually a standard kind of leaning bar in there where you can just stand and drink if you want. They don't want you to spend a long time in there because it is very small and low capacity, and a lot of people want to get in, even in the off season.
Yeah, you might consider rope dropping this. They open at 11, or you might consider doing it at the very end of the night when it might be a little less crowded, or if you've already seen the fireworks show, that might be a good time as well. Yeah. So some little hints for getting a good walk-up reservation there, but highly recommend the experience of just hanging out in there. It's very, very small, like Rod said, but totally worth it.
Well, folks, welcome to Season 3. We are going to be coming up very shortly with some things that we have never done before that we wanted to. You're going to hear some episodes coming up on Keys to the Kingdom, the Caring for Giants tour at the Animal Kingdom, a review of Shikisai, the new Japanese restaurant. What else are we coming up with, sis?
Oh gosh, we have a couple things on the list. We're going to just leave it at that for now. Come back and be surprised.
Well, folks, let us know what your Best of the Fest is for the 2025 Farts Festival of the Arts at Epcot, if you've been. Let us know in the comments also what you'd like to see in Season 3. We are always looking for some suggestions for episodes. We've used a few, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of do this for us because we just enjoy it, but we want to do it for you too. So let us know if there's something specific you want to hear more about. And Rod, before we go, tell everyone, what was your one favorite thing from this festival?
I think the very, very best of the fest, I'm going to go back and say the carne asada. I didn't think I was going to say that, but now that I put the three together, the poutine, the soup with the sandwich, and the carne asada is going to win it. I
think you are correct. I think that is the absolute winner of this festival. If you're only going to get three things, those are the three we recommend, but don't skip out on that carne asada. Or the margarita.
Oh, yeah. Before we go, we'd like to give a big thank you to our theme music composer, Jason Patrick Rowan, whose music is licensed through Pond 5. And of course, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to rate, review, like, share, and subscribe. It really does help other people find us. You can find us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production and a proud gold member of D23. Thanks for joining us today for episode 92 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye.
We call it Epcot.
How am I now?
Perfect. There we go.
Okay. Just for the record, Rod said I was perfect. Just keep that on file.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
I meant the sound levels were good.
That's not what I heard.
Yeah, okay.